Good day, everyone. Welcome to our another video lecture. And in this video lecture, I will explain to you about your task. At the same time, I will discuss to you the project-based learning plan. So I believe there is a need for me to discuss that. So you would be clarified about the things you need to do, and at the same time about how to do it. So at this point, allow me to share my screen to everyone so we can access the PowerPoint presentation. So let me go first to my files and PBL. Okay, so here it is. Okay, now we are in the PowerPoint presentation already. So if you can see, I know you guys can see now on screen, and I am putting it on a presentation mode already. So this is the project-based learning plan. And we do have here the format. These are the things that I will be talking about. I'll be talking with you, class, about the format, the template of a PBL, or the project-based learning lesson plan, or the project-based learning plan. And of course, I got this from the online, or this template. And then parts, the specific parts, following this template. And then I will also give you a sample, the PBL plan as used in a specific lesson. And then the open forum, since there is no way we can meet this week. Hence, today is a holiday. Then if you do have questions, so the open forum, please do ask questions as I am going to post this video lecture on the Google Classroom, so you can make noise there. You can comment, or you can, of course, ask also questions if you have. There are things that are not clear to you. You can also do that on the group chat. And then you guys will be asked to synthesize what you learned after the session. So probably we'll be doing it also through creating a comment thread on the Google Classroom, and then exit ticket here to close the session. Of course, your task is to create your own PBL plan, and that's gonna be the output that you guys need to submit. So again, this is project-based learning plan. Now we have here the format. Okay, so wait, okay, this is the format. You know already, class, that when we say PBL, project-based learning, so of course we will be asking our students to create a task, or to do, not create a task, but to create something. So it's gonna be an output that, of course, they based also in, you know, specific problem that they see in real life. So that is why are they creating a project? What is it for? So something should be also included in the output, or there must be something that they could contribute after they would create the output, right? Of course, this is how your matrix or your template would look like. The name, okay, your names, of course, your name rather, and then the title of the lesson. So I have here lessons or topics that you can choose from, and then a summary of the topic or the lesson. Okay, of course, you have to create a kind of probably one sentence summary or gist about the topic. And then what are your learners? Like, what is this plan intended for? Is this intended for your grade 8 students? Of course, you have to think, class, that you will be teaching high school students, grade 7 all the way to grade 12. So if you are choosing a higher level, then the topic that I am giving there, it should also be intended for that level. For example, one of the topics there is all about fact and opinion. So you have to look at it if what grade level distinguishing fact and opinion would be suitable. Okay. You have to try to search or look at which grade level that specific topic would be more suitable. There are some topics that can be delivered or you can find in many grade levels, but of course the difficulty would vary, no? So if you would go for a higher level, of course, it would be more complex compared to you chose the topic and then it is intended for a grade 7. So it would be done simpler and the example would be also simpler. So it's your call already, or it's up to you already being the teacher. Because you guys, if you create the LP, the lesson plan, of course, you are the teacher. You are the one who created that. And obviously, one of these days, it's in our timeline that you will be doing teaching demonstration. And then the standards would be like the outcome. So it is there already in the English curriculum from the DepEd. You have to check on that. I will also add it on the Google Classroom. So please check on the language or the English curriculum shared by the Department of Education, because you have to base it from there, no? The standard. You guys should not just create it, but basically this is like what would be the outcome. Okay, what are the learning outcomes here? But you base it on the standard if you're going to follow or choose a specific topic, and then base it on the standard for a specific grade level. So let's say your grade level is grade 8. So what are the competencies that will be basically that would be honed or that would be achieved of a grade 8 student, no? It's in the guide, curriculum guide provided by the DepEd. And then we do have here materials used by the teacher. So as a teacher teaching this specific topic, what are the materials that you would specifically use? And then not only the materials that you use as the teacher, but at the same time, the materials that you use, that you want your students to use. So you should also enumerate it here in this side. And then we have technologies used by the teacher. Of course, class, we are in an era, or we are now in this digital age, no, or digital era. So we have to make sure we integrate technology. And part also of our topic here, or our entire subject, this is technology for secondary language education. So you have to make sure you incorporate technology. So what technology are you going to use? And with regards to the students, what are the technologies that they are supposed to use? Now we do have timeline of activities, or known as instructional procedures. This is equivalent to what we called as our procedure, of course. Now we have anchor. So the anchor, it's definitely, this is the first, okay? So this could be your opening, no? Your opening, how would you kind of set the mood, okay? How would you make sure that your students are ready, okay? Mind setting, their mind is really set to do something or to be in your class. And of course, task, because this is project-based learning lesson plan. So what task is it? What task? So, but it doesn't mean that this is already going to like the thing, of course, task. That means what is it that you want your students to do, right? But I will be explaining it later as we are going to explore a specific example. So it would be better that way. And then, of course, directions. What are the directions to accomplish the task? And then we have the student choices here. Students should also be options. And then we also give time that for students to ask questions. So student inquiry. And then collaboration and teamwork. This is now the time we allow them, okay, to collaborate and do the teamwork, because the PBL class or the project-based learning, of course, it should be done by group. Our aim here is for them to create a project, but it doesn't mean they will be doing it individually. It should be by group. And then as a teacher, you will facilitate, you would coach the student if they are doing it correctly. and you would give them feedback. If there are things that are not done correctly, of course, students can still tweak or can still change that, no? And then student reflection. So student will reflect on what they have done, okay? Because the teacher coaching and feedback is you see the output or the outcome of what they have been doing. And then if there are things that are needed to be improved, of course they have to improve it. That's why your feedback is very important. And out from the entire process of doing the PBL, you would ask the student to give reflection. But it does not end there, rather, because since we are talking about project-based learning, and our student here, whatever their output would be, of course, it is expected that it could be a solution to a specific problem or whatever, no? Or it could be something that is needed, okay? Or that would provide awareness to people who would be reading if they create a kind of a coffee table book or whatever it is that you let them create. So they will do also public presentation. So it's not just you within people in the classroom or people who are involved in your class are the ones who would know it. So it has to be presented probably to other classes, and it could also be to the entire campus. You could do some exhibit or even present it or pitch their output or what they come up with to a like a group of experts. Because let's say the students created something that could really be very helpful for the field of education, so they could go to the supervisor or probably expert, even whoever would probably need that, no? So for example, they create also something that can solve problems in the environment. So they could go to the local DENR or the environmental group or kind of NGO that um, tackles or whose advocacy is into sustainability and environmental awareness and something like that. They could present it. So public presentation. And then assessment plan here, of course, we have to assess our students. This is really part. This is non-negotiable. It has to be there in our lesson plan. The assessment plan should be there. Okay? Because if there's no assessment plan, then how would we be able to know if our students learn? So it's our way to assess them. Okay, it's our way to know what they have learned. No, so we need to have an assessment plan. Now, of course, the teacher grading. So here it's up to you. How would you grade the project of the learners? Of course, we have to follow a specific rubric. I would not say that this is the rubric that you are only going to use, because it depends on their output. It depends on the project you let them create. And of course, lastly, student reflection, this should be documented. So as a group, no? So your name here, and then your group member 1, it would be partner 1, your partner 2, partner 3, and then of course the reflection. Okay, so who are you working with? Your name, and then the people you are working with or your group members, and then your reflection. So reflection, how would you be able to connect it to yourself and to the things you have learned? And how would you be able to use it in real life situation? So you would reflect. Has it been very relevant? Or is this your first time doing it? What are your realizations? And you have to reflect. Because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure there is something that the students would get out from this task. And by asking the reflection, this is really part. If you would go back to my lecture in the previous video, of course, you would know that student reflection is really part of the PBL, and we have to make sure we allow our students to do reflection. And when we read it, of course, you would know what they are doing really has impacted their lives or has given them impact. So it would be really good to know the reflection and to read about that. And then these are the specific parts. So as what is already presented in the template no earlier, name, your name, the title of the lesson, the summary. Summary would, it doesn't mean it's only one sentence, but it would not also be very long, huh? That's why it's a summary. Learners, standards. Standards, so you're going to look into your learning objectives, but base your learning objectives to the desired subject outcomes or outcomes of that specific course, as you have found in the English language curriculum guide given by DepEd, because the lessons or the topics class that I am going, that I actually included, I found it or I got it from the curriculum guide. So you have to look for it. And then, of course, focus only on grade 6, grade 7 to 12, because you guys are high school teachers in the future. So we have to focus on those levels. And then materials used by the teacher, materials used by the students. And then since it's technology integrated, so of course, technologies used by the teacher, technologies used by the students. And then we'll look into the timeline of activities, or we are looking at instructional procedures. Time limit activities, also known as instructional procedures, or simply known as procedure in our other, when we create our usual format, when we use rather our usual format. And then we have the assessment plan here, or what is your assessment, and then teacher grading, the rubrics, and then student reflection. So this is a sample here, of course. So sample PBL plan as used in a specific lesson. So though this is not, this sample is not for high school, but let's take a look at. So we have here the names. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, something's just. So we have here the name, name, of course, only one student will be here because I am not asking you to do this by group. So the title, so here the topic is learning the precedents or the precedents. Now, learning the precedent summary, this is like the summary of the things that students would do, no? So you could also say, because in the sample, like students will choose a precedent out of the ones we picked, then they will form a brochure made online and include information from different resources. So of course, you could, it doesn't have to be, this is the sample summary. So you guys are talking about overall, what is it the students will be able to come up with? Okay, this like give us a nutshell of what is going to happen in the lesson plan. And then learners, our learners are third graders. So of course, you have to say here the learners, and what are they supposed to learn? And it's up to you. You will be the one to choose a topic anyway. And then the standards, so this will be your objectives here. But then again, you have to make sure it is aligned to the outcomes or to the standards being you can find in the curriculum guide given by DepEd. Okay, so for example, here, the standards select and use applications effectively and productively, and then explain the importance of famous American figures, including but not limited to George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Thomas Jefferson. And then we have here materials used by the teacher. So for example, of course, the teachers are using a list. And then a box, well, there's a rubric, of course, and at the same time, a sample of a brochure, because you know already that the students, the pupils here, they will create a brochure, right? This is the project. Materials used by the students, so they would be using books, magazines, and resources from the library. Technologies used by the teacher would be smartboard, PowerPoint presentation, because of course you have to discuss things, Microsoft Word, and then technologies used by the students who will be using Microsoft Word, internet resources. You could add more. So there should be what are the technologies also used by the students. And then the timeline of activities or the instructional procedure. So the anchor here is like your motivation, your opening, your mind setting. And of course, this would also tackle about your this would already incorporate also about your discussion of the topic. So the topic, class, don't make it very long. As much as possible, make it simpler, and at the same time, dili siya taas, ha? Make it simple and direct to the point. But of course, part of it is you have to make sure you also set the minds of the students. No? So after discussing the history of precedents and their significance to the United States, students will get, students will get put into groups of two, will be put into groups of two and choose a president out of the box and will be the one they will be doing. So they will be doing about what they have chosen. So given that you already discussed, so when you implement this, of course, it is really expected that there is also a discussion. You have to open, okay, discuss. But what is good thing, for example, this is really very, I think the idea of flipped is very suitable to the project-based learning. Because since the time that we have is only very short, for college, we have 1 hour and 30 minutes. And then you would do all these things. Of course, the time would not be enough. But in this case, that means class the day before, it would also be good. You have already discussed the topic, right? But of course, I am letting you create the lesson plans. We have to follow this. Here, it's not that very difficult, right? So, but I would, let you make it more specific as well. I will be giving you more instruction as I keep going. Huh? So here, this is the anchor. We call this the anchor. And then number two, so the anchor class, you have to mention that you already discussed. And then after discussing the history of precedents, so you have to, in my case, in our case, after discussing your topic, and then you have to present also the details of what you have discussed. But I wanted you to make it really not long, okay? Not too long. Make it as brief and comprehensive as possible, the topic that you have chosen. And then students will be given a list of requirements on what needs to be included in their brochure. So what are the checklists? Okay, but this one is a brochure. It doesn't mean that you would also let your pupils to create a brochure, and make sure, class, what they are doing is also relevant or related to the topic you have chosen. Maybe you are letting them create something of a specific project, but there is no relevance at all. So it cannot be. Students will be given a list of requirements and what needs to be included in their brochure. The requirements will be, of course, here, name of the president, birth date, death date, term period, and influence on the United States, brief biography, and fun facts. So this is now the task of the student, of the group. Along with the rubric, students will be given a timeline about when they should have certain items done. So there is a timeline. Okay, for example, when the student should be able to finish it, you have to provide a timeline for that. And students will get to choose their own partner and what roles each person will be doing. Okay, they will also get to choose how they want to format their brochure. So that's why student choices. Okay, they can choose their group. You allow them to choose. Okay, you also want them to be the ones to decide what format they are going to use, because here you could really be able to discover how creative the students are or the pupils are. So give them options. And then students will be given time to go to the library to look up resources, as well as be given time to find information on the internet on laptops. So we are here now under student inquiry. So here, class, in the PBL, as I told you, it's 1 hour and 30 minutes or one session would not be enough on this one. So probably you could, you need like the whole week, and then the end of the week they have to do the or be in the public presentation already. Okay, and then students will be working in groups of two and making sure that each person is involved in putting the effort into the brochure. So here, groups of two, but it's up to you in your LP, because you will be the one to create. So you are the teacher. You have to, it's up to you if it would be a groups of two, or if it's gonna be a group or groups of 5. Actually, somehow it depends also on how difficult the task is, or how, the kind of project you are requiring them. If it needs a lot of effort or a lot of heads, then it would be more members of the group. So here, students will be working in groups of 2 and making sure that each person is involved in putting the effort into the brochure. Students will be responsible for finding their resources and making a plan of action. This is collaboration and teamwork. As students are working on their project, so you or I will be going around. So this is now the teacher. Okay, you will be going around and checking in with each group and asking questions and directing them and making sure they are staying on task and they are doing the right thing. So this is now teacher coaching and feedback, or teaching, coaching, and feedbacking. This is very important because at least students would know that they are not lost. Okay, they are in the right track, they are in the right path, they are in the right direction. And then students, for the number 8, students will be evaluating one another at the end of their presentation. There will also be allowed time at the end of each workday for brainstorming. So now you'll be doing student reflection. Okay. And after, once all groups have completed their projects, they will get up and present to the class about their president. Other students in the class will be taking notes, so other groups are presenting public presentation. But as I said, they can even go beyond, right? You can let them display outside the campus, and they could talk about what they have created to other students as well. And if the project is really good and it could, there is really a potential, then you can talk to the expert and just present the project of the students. So this is the instructional procedures. And we go to the assessment plan. For the assessment plan, student will be graded on how well they completed the required task and how they did with group participation. So of course, the entire thing was already part of it. So they will be graded according to the following rubric. So this is now the rubric. Also, class, it doesn't mean that this is the only thing for the assessment plan. You could also, you could also give your student a some questions that they would answer, but of course you have to make sure you have that grade. You need to grade their output, no? But maybe you want to also add something, so you have 10 items bang multiple choice, and then na-apoy theories, because of course there's a lecture no na may discussion about the topic itself. So you could also I would encourage and recommend that you have to also, aside from the teacher grading, putting the rubrics, I would also want you, or I would encourage and recommend and require, of course, this is a requirement that you're going to, for your assessment, it should be a question also, but you have to include this one as well, huh? Dugangan lang, and then it should be, the assessment would be about the topic that is being discussed as well. And then, of course, student reflection. It is up to you with regards to the rating. Okay, it is up to you. So your name, and then partner 1, partner 2, partner 3. So this are the reflection. What can they say about it? Of course, this is for the members, and then the reflection. So it doesn't mean you will present it this way. This is just a sample, but you need to make sure students should reflect on what they are doing. So reflection is part of it. Okay, and I hope it is clear. Now, do you have any questions, class? If you have questions, actually, if I am doing the lecture live in a way that you guys are with me now, even we are in the online platform, you would be asking me questions. But since this is a pre-recorded lecture, so please do ask on the group chat or comment also on the Google Classroom if you do have questions. I'll make sure I could be able to check on them, since part of our one of the parts of this lecture is open forum, so there should be question and answer in between. And then sentences. So class, what is your takeaway from this lecture? Okay, please comment it. I will be reading, and I will be asking. Of course, you will comment what is your takeaway from this lecture, okay? And then I will be reading the comment section on the Google Classroom where I posted this. Then I will also be giving you points that would serve as your participation, since we were not able to meet this week because of the holiday. So answer this. What is your takeaway from this lecture? What have you learned? And the topics for the exit ticket. So create your own PBL plan. As I told you, choose one topic from the options that you can find here on your left. So topics, fact, number one, you can choose. There are actually 10, no? Fact from opinion, business letter, types of text, okay, narrative, expository, explanation, recount, and persuasive, and then verbal and non-verbal cues, passive and active voice. Suprasegmental phonemes should be segmental phonemes, not non-suprasegmental, but segmental phonemes. Suprasegmental phonemes, and then we have the segmental phonemes, and then literary appreciation. So I'm saying like because literary appreciation, this is a bit broad, but to be specific, you will discuss, or the topic would be the necklace. So this is going to be the literary piece. And then figures of speech, you will probably look into differentiate irony, oxymoron, paradox. So I don't know what kind of project you would require the students here, no? But you let them be creative. And at the same time, think of something that when they create it, it would provide awareness, it would help also the people. Maybe it would help your co-English majors or whatever. It could be a monograph that you would let them create. It could be a glossary, or it could be even a dictionary. So, for example, literary appreciation. And so, if a project, no, pwede dictionary, right? What are the different mini dictionary? What are the different unfamiliar words that the students were able to get from the story? And then how, aside from it's a dictionary, there would also be like maybe things that would talk about the story as well, or the moral lesson at the end. So it's up to you. You have to be creative. You have also to think outside the box. Figures of speech, and then elements of short story. You know the elements, you could search it, okay? And don't forget for the standards, that's your learning outcomes or your objectives, but you have to make sure that that is aligned to what is the standard as found in the curriculum guide, okay, given or provided by the ed. So I hope you understand, and I hope it's clear, class. If it isn't, you can check. You can type your question on the group chat, or you can comment it. But don't forget to give your synthesis. Thank you so much. And that's the end of my presentation. I hope you learned a thing or two from this presentation, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.